Powered by fans.
Styles with a save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest.
Simondoy has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
I'm having an absolute mare today, everyone who's tuned into the pod. I played the wrong intro for starters, and I didn't even realise till halfway through. Welcome back to Red Side of the Trent. Hope you're all doing well after a 3-0 win in Europa League, our third clean sheet in a row. Ryan Yates has scored every day of the week. I mean, that is something to talk about. I'm delighted to be joined by Lee Clark and Reece Lane. Lee, how are you, first of all?
Yeah, all good. Getting used to talking about these victories, aren't we?
Yeah, it's nice. It's like last season again. Let's continue it. Reece, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, really good. Obviously, it was my first European game last night, and to be fair, at the end of it, a little underwhelming because it was so easy. Would you say that was the easiest game you've ever seen Forest win last night?
It's definitely up there, isn't it? There might be some recency bias attached to that, but you're going back to the days of when we beat like Yeading 5-0 and things like that, really. I mean, God, I can't really remember that game now in terms of how it played out. But yeah, they came, mate, just to keep the score down, to be honest. They didn't even have one touch in our box, which is absolutely ridiculous when you put that stat out. Yeah, I mean, Hosip wanted to, you did the pod with. I listened to that yesterday in the van with work, and he was like quite downbeat, and I totally understand why now after that performance. But you know, let's give us credit as well. You know, you can only beat what's put in front, and you've still got to go out and apply yourself and be professional. And I thought we was that. And to be fair, you know, we kept some energy in the tank, didn't we? Late on in the game, because if we'd have gone through the gears, mate, we'd have probably hit 6 past them. To be honest, they were that poor.
Yeah. Lee, overall thoughts?
Well, I suppose it was our easiest win since Saturday, wasn't it? So I mean, that is a little bit tongue-in-cheek towards Liverpool, just to get another final dig in towards them. Yeah, I don't really remember a game as comfortable. I think from the moment we scored the first goal, we just knew we'd win, didn't we? And yeah, that did kill the kind of atmosphere, I suppose, for most of the second half. But yeah, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't with these games, aren't you? Because if you go out and you win 1-0, it's not enough. If you win 3-0, it's boring because it's too easy. So, and obviously if you lose, you get slammed because they're rubbish. I just feel like that was, maybe this is a bit harsh on Midtjylland, but that's probably how the Midtjylland game should have been, I think. Maybe not quite as easy. I think that's probably doing them a little bit of discredit. But yeah, it was... the Europa League throws you up these sorts of fixtures where teams from weird and wonderful leagues with random formats playing in summer leagues and stuff like that. So, yeah, tougher challenges on the way, I guess.
Yeah, at least with Midtjylland, they had a go as well, didn't they? And they clearly, I know some of the teams have not played in this tournament so far, and that I saw they lost to Roma last night, but even scored past them, so at least they've had a go. You know, Malmo just didn't even have a go, did they? They were just terrible, really.
Just Pontus Jansson against our entire 11, to be honest, because he was the only one that you could tell he was like head and shoulders above the rest in terms of quality. But I think what got me was they were just playing out from the back, because every time they went long, their centre forward was that Ida Johnson's lad. I mean, he's got absolutely bullied every single time. He's got knocked to the ground, and it was just like, right, ball recovery, let's go again. And yeah, it kind of reminded me of what like England games are like, must be in qualifiers and stuff when they play like the minnows, and it's just like, what is the point? But like, delighted to have won the game, delighted to have had no worries. Obviously, there was plenty of players getting rested, active rested, or you could even argue. But we'll get into the team because it was an interesting lineup. Everyone was a bit unsure who was going to play left back, but Reece, Murillo at left back. In that first half, I think I've seen him pick up every single position known to man, apart from goalkeeper. So what were your thoughts on the lineup, and then Murillo at left back, by the way?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with the lineup. I'd rather Murillo at left back than Morato, should I say?
Was Zinchenko
Spanish
for that
striker
matter.
on my brain, because Murillo's a terrific footballer, mate. He could play anywhere, couldn't he? Really, and he'd still be effective. You know, Ange played Morato at left back at Arsenal. I know that's a different ball game, but he got absolutely mullered, didn't he, at Arsenal? Murillo, especially when you're playing against a side who's going to sit in, Murillo's going to have time on the ball and he's going to make things happen. You know, we've seen, I know it didn't work out for them on Saturday, but we've seen a great footballer, Szoboszlai, play at right back for Liverpool because they can make things happen from that position still, especially when you're against a low block. So yeah, I was happy with that. Nice to see Zach Abbott get some minutes. Yeah, the only one thing I'd probably slightly disagree with is for a team like what Malmo was, we probably didn't need to have Dominguez on the wing. I'd like to have seen him got some minutes in centre mid. Actually, felt a bit for him last night in terms of because he's just not got line speed as Dominguez. He can get around the pitch agility wise, but he's not going to beat a man, is he?
No.
Boy on the other side, he's obviously can. So I wouldn't have mind have seen Ndoye in there, to be fair. You know, it's a real shame that Hutchinson in the Europa League squad because he would have started last night. Or Bacco isn't fit, so it would have been the exact same. But we don't need to be splitting hairs, really, when, to be honest, I think some of us could have probably done a cameo last night and looked okay. It was that much of a controlled performance from us, really.
Yeah. Delighted, obviously, to see Ryan Yates get on the score sheet, Lee. I mean, first goal in Europe at the Trent End against the side that we beat in the European Cup final. Obviously, terrific display from Forza and everyone involved in that. And I'm quite happy for the lad. I mean, Academy, he scored on every day of the week. He scored now in every competition that he's been able to play in as well. So, what? And it was a great finish, I thought. Milenkovic down the right wing, cutting the ball back of all people as well.
Yeah, he must be getting close to. There can't be many competitions he needs to score in terms of being like the ultimate quiz answer.
I think you're looking at like Johnson Paint Trophy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like Virtue Trophy now, I think.
It was a good goal though. It was a very good goal, very good finish. I feel like when we played Reading in the promotion winning season, we won 4-0. I feel like he scored like a pretty similar goal to that. He does. He does. I mean, I was kind of up until that point, I was willing people to shoot a little bit more often. So it was nice to see someone stick the foot through the ball and with a bit of accuracy. And yeah, he has got that in the locker. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, he was pretty good throughout. It's difficult. I'm sure we'll come on to some player performances, but it's difficult to kind of. Of course, the players who played well last night deserve praise for what they did, but we have kind of got to. I think Reece has hit the nail on the head with this before. I think just because someone plays well against Malmo, it doesn't all of a sudden mean that they're the best player ever. You've got to judge them in context, and everyone who was given a chance last night basically grasped it. So yeah, it was a great goal, great finish. Yeah, maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned. I quite like to shoot a little bit because Abbott had a couple of long-range shots as well, didn't he? Before, I don't mind it. I know that there's a bit of a perception that we should create better chances, but I don't mind people having a go. And as Billy Davies used to say, if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the raffle. So thankfully, Yatesy did last night.
I think Zach Abbott at one point had the most shots on goal at one point. So yeah, I mean that was interesting.
I know it will be forgotten as well. Well, sorry, Adam, but we've said before in this podcast that he does get into good areas. Ryan Yates, you know, he's good in the air. When we've seen that with the header for Callum Mwendo's goals. We come on to it, and to be honest, if it weren't for the goalkeeper who's their best player last night, on another night, probably could have got a hat trick.
Yeah, he could have. Yeah, Gary Bolden just said he'd agreed with you about Dominguez getting in ahead of maybe Sangare before he goes to AFCON. I mean, we'll get on to Sangare. I thought he was absolutely excellent last night. I mean, he just showed how the golfing class for me, and that was really pleasing to see. But Reece's second goal not too long after, and I'm really delighted that Callum Mwendo managed to get on the goal scoring sheet, similar to the one against Swansea for Igor Jesus. I thought where the ball's been parried and he's managed to get to it as the second ball and just smash it in, I guess. But how much confidence do you think that will do him?
Yeah, hopefully Hopefully a lot, mate. Yeah, I was buzzing for him because I think some of the stuff I've read about him has been ridiculous, to be honest. The lad's had one start after coming from, a lesser league, let's be honest, which Liga is. New country, possibly, well, he can speak English because I heard his interview. Some players come in and settle straight away and hit the ground running, and some don't. These are young lads. We've got a player in McAtee at the minute who's played in the Premier League, who's only made 3 starts as well. And, it's going to take time for some players. So I actually thought he'd play well last night. He was very unlucky. The keeper made a really good save from him. I think just before that, I was kind of willing that to go in. And I actually think had Tyro been fit, we probably would have got the 90 last night. But I do think with that in mind, that's why Dyche probably brought him off, because he might have to use him on Saturday if Tyro's injured now, which apparently he is. Obviously, Chris Wood, we don't know what's really up with him. So, yeah, delighted for him. You could see how much it meant to him as well. So, hopefully, mate, that kickstarts his Forest career and can put some of these ridiculous comments I've seen to kind of rest. That is always not good enough. And, it's like I said in Graz, we punted the ball to him. What is he, 5'8", maybe?
Yeah,
that clearly isn't his game, and I hope, like the home fans who probably didn't see on the telly, who watched it on the telly for Graz, saw his off the ball movement last night, because it was his off the ball movement what got that goal by reacting to it. He's clearly an in behind man. He's clearly a channel man. If you're going to punt it up to him, then it's just not going to work. As Steve Cooper did by punting the ball into the channel to Chris Wood. You play to players' strengths, and so it was great to see him get off the mark, and hopefully that can start his Forest career off, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna's just come in. Morning, guys. Quite as 3-0 win ever. Strange feeling, quiet atmosphere at the City Ground. Delighted for the points, though, and a comfortable win. I think that was just because of the opposition, personally. Yeah. They just didn't offer anything. It was like a friendly at times. So
it was, yeah.
Yeah. Lee's second half was very much, I'd say, a training exercise, in all honesty, and maybe just keeping players a little bit sharp and trying to get some freshness and almost like an active rest, because we were just kind of knocking the ball around with no restrictive, nothing from Malmo in terms of closing us down or anything. It was getting to the edge of the box and like with no one trying to make a tackle. But we got a third. Nikola Milenkovic, I don't think will have an easier goal to score in his life, although it was extremely tight. But I think that just kind of topped off the victory, and then we could just chill out, I guess.
Yeah, 3 pretty random goal scorers, I suppose, as well. One from each position. Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it was for want of a better word, it was pretty boring, wasn't it? To be honest, I spoke to someone this morning who left early to beat the traffic because the game was won and there wasn't a lot going on. There wasn't much excitement. Yeah, not really much else to say. It's just that's the thing when you play these games. I suppose they take a friendly feel about them, don't they? Because, like you said, there's just nothing going on, and their fans kept it a little bit entertaining. You couldn't take your eyes off them really to see what they were going to do next, whether it was fighting with stewards or getting the big blue scarves out. But yeah, it was. I was saying on the way out, it's difficult because you almost want them to go and be a bit more ruthless and score more goals, but at the same time, you don't want them to overexert themselves to the point where they can't then play on Sunday. So, yeah, it was, I guess, the one criticism to a certain extent I had. I think last night probably proved that a lot of those youngsters are on the bench because, they almost make the numbers up, because to only put one on, I thought was a little bit strange. I mean, at 3-0, I didn't think we'd see Williams get on, but he did. And I know you've got to put these youngsters on in positions they're pretty comfortable with, but I guess it would have been nice to maybe see the other two as well, because, I mean, yeah, they were never going to trouble us, were they? So yeah, if we do get a lead such as that in a future game in the Europa League, I think maybe I'd like to see more of those youngsters get minutes. I think instead.
I'm wondering if it's a respect thing for not only the opposition, but for our current first team players who have got us there and everything else. Like I think if a player who needs minutes because they're not getting minutes in the Premier League gets overlooked for a young player, I don't know what kind of message that might send out personally. I don't know what you think, Reece.
I mean, I said to Christian on the way out, I mean, the players who come in, or come on last night, should I say, that was probably like a warm down for them, wasn't it? It would have been just get some jogging in your legs, really. Didn't have to overexert themselves, did they? I guess I think Sean Dyche, he loves the clean sheet, doesn't he? So I didn't think he'd want to chuck, say, 5 youngsters on and then we concede a stupid one, because it can happen. I know they didn't offer anything, but a young lad might make a mistake or something, and then we concede, and we're all like, oh, well, he's down, like Lee says, he's damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. I want to bust about.
Well, I think we only had 2 other youngsters, didn't we? And one's Archie Whitehall's a midfielder.
Jack Thompson is it? I think.
And Jack Thompson's a centre half. So I
ahead.
get the centre half situation. I suppose you'd like you just said, Dyche wants a clean sheet, and what you don't want is a youngster to come on in a meaningless environment at 3-0 up and then make a mistake that could do him more harm than good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the fact that I think the players we put on from the bench are probably all going to start on Sunday. Just felt maybe
that would just be to get
that we perhaps didn't need to take.
Yeah, I understand, but the game was at that poorer pace by that time because we'd won the game. Like I said, it was probably just to get some minutes in the legs in terms of just jogging, really, keep him warm, I guess. It was, they say this in boxing, that styles make fights, and you need styles to combine to make a good fight, and them 2 styles just didn't mix last night, did they? That's why it was one-way traffic all night. I know Forest fans, because, no disrespect to some that they've not seen European fans, etc., but they're accustomed to this ultra mentality, and they'll sing and drone on all game. That's kind of ingrained in their mentality. But as a Forest fan, could you really, with how the game was going, could you really get up for how it was going? Because it was just like a training exercise.
I think if it was a knockout game, it'd be a lot.
Yeah. And no disrespect. Sorry, Adam. Just before we move on, no disrespect to Malmo, but for, I'd say, a high percentage in that ground, Malmo don't really mean much to them. I wasn't alive for the European Cup days. I've got massive respect for that bunch of players and all that, but Malmo just aren't like a European giant, are they? For a younger fan, they're not really going to get the juices flowing, are they? It was more for the generation who was, around at them glorious times, which I'd have loved to have been around at, but unfortunately I was brought upon a diet of League One football and Championship. So, yeah, like when we played FC Porto, it's like, these, we all grew up watching Mourinho win the Champions League with them, with the players he had, your Decos and Ricardo Carvalho and that back in the day, and further on they've had likes of Falcao and players like that, whereas Malmo just, as they proved, like why there was 12-1, mate. I don't want to sound too disrespectful, but they were 12-1 for a reason. They're just fodder in that tournament. Let's have it right.
I'd have put my 1,000 to 1. To be honest, that's how bad for them.
I mean,
Reece, I know you're tight for time this morning, so thank you for joining us. Any other comments you want to say before you go, and then maybe a quick word for Brighton on Sunday?
I think from a Forest perspective, when you look at it overall, that you couldn't have asked for it to go much better last night. We've easily won the game. No one's got any niggles or injuries, really. Hopefully, Murillo, I don't know if he had a bit of a tight hamstring or something, because Dyche brought him off, didn't he? Callum Owendo's got off the mark. It was very apt for Yatesy coming through the academy to score against Malmo. And obviously all the stats with him, the competitions he scored in every day of the week, and that is a mad stat, which I put up on his pod page of the games he's done. It was very routine. I think you hit the nail on the head, Adam, to be honest. It was like watching an England game when they're playing the likes of San Marino and that. It was just attack via defense. And I always thought that once we broke them down, we'd win the game. You just didn't want to concede one on the counter where they had that shot early on, didn't it, which was their only chance. You just don't want to concede a goal like that. So, I think it was job done. I would have personally gave Sangare man of the match. I know he only played an hour, but I thought in that hour, I thought it was a level above. To be honest, you could just see it, and that's just we've all played football, haven't we? And football is and sport is about levels at time. Of Forest were just a level above. And like Lee said, the physicality, I think it was you said as well, Adam, Good Johnson just got knocked off the ball every time. It reminded me, for those who can remember, when we played Derby in the League Cup and Philip Cocu sent a load of kids and we just absolutely bullied them and we won 3-0. I remember like Alpha Semedo knocking their young lads and that off the ball because, it's just an easy night work. So, I understand why Yates got man of the match because he had an involvement in all 3 goals. But I would have given it Sangare personally, and I'll leave you with that. In terms of Sunday, should I say, Brighton are a good side. So that I think David Jackson hit it spot on Match Talk on the way home. They've kind of gone under the radar. I think they're 5th in the league. I know Bournemouth, and he said Bournemouth, Palace, etc., who of course lost last night, Crystal Palace. They've kind of got the headlines, haven't they? And Brighton have gone under the radar a bit, so in the higher echelons of the league. So it'll be a tough game, but with this form, I'm gonna go, mate, and I'm gonna predict a 2-1 win. So I'll leave you on that, guys. All right.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Reece. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Take care, guys. See you later. See ya.
Bye. Lee, that result last night's put us 16th now in the league format, 2 points behind Automatic. So it's very, very congested in there. With I think Porto and Genk are on the same points. There are a lot of teams on 11, a few teams on 12. So it's 3 clean sheets in a row now in the Europa League. It should have probably been 3 wins as well. We should have won at Graz at a canter, in my honest opinion, with the chances we had. But it's going in the right direction for Sean Dyche in this since he's come in. Obviously, that's back 3 wins in all competitions in a row as well. So it's swimmingly going upstream, I would say. Any thoughts?
Yeah, can't knock him really, can you? I mean, he's made us more solid at the back. We're scoring goals. It's going to be really disappointing the next time we have a game and we don't score 3. It's all we seem to do at the moment. I know. 2015, I think Radio Nottingham put a stat on, didn't they?
Blimey.
But obviously, the opposition this time was Malmo, Liverpool, and Leeds. I think the opposition then was like Blackpool, Wigan, and 2 other teams that are much smaller than Liverpool and Leeds. It's all going well. I think I do sense we'll probably need to play in the last 32. I'm not entirely sure we'll quite make the top 8 of the Europa League. But I think considering that the Midtjylland game was a bit of a disaster, and obviously, like you say, we probably should have won in Graz, missing the penalty and having loads of other chances in the first half. I think we'd still, of course, we'd still take being in the competition rather than being knocked out. So I don't think it's the be all and end all. I've just got a feeling that those 2 away games will be quite tricky. But you just never know with how we're playing at the minute and what Dyche has got us doing. We might win all 3 of our games. And I think if we do win all 3 of our games, we'll definitely make the top 8. So, it's all of a sudden in the space of a couple of weeks, we've gone from not wondering where our next point or goal's coming from to, being itching to get back to the City Ground and watch us again, which that's the biggest compliment I can pay Dyche, to be fair.
Yeah. 2 out of the last 3 games in the Europa League in the league phase are against teams in the top 8 in Ferencváros and Braga. Ferencváros are managed by Robbie Keane of all people. That is football manager like heritage all over if I've ever seen it. So I think, like you're right, if we win all 3 of them games, I don't see why we wouldn't get in the top 8 because that would also put us on 17 points. So I mean that'd be ridiculous, really. No, have I got that right? Yeah, 17 points. So, I mean, we'd probably end up like top 3 if you won all 3 games, personally. So we'll see how we go, I guess. But I'm going to get into some people's slept on it thoughts, as if there's only a few, not too many, but we'll rattle through them.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
I can't believe I'm going to read this one, but because I have to laugh at James's comment here. He says, after I saw the lineup, I thought we was going to lose, but after that performance from all 11, but mainly Yates, Kalimawendo, and Murillo, I don't know what I was thinking. Completely dominated Malmo, and for Yates to have a goal in Europe, he must think he has conquered football. I mean, I don't know how you thought we was going to lose that game. They were awful. Carl Booth, we need to save these European nights, as we don't know if it's going to be another 30 years before we see them again. Really happy for the youngsters and Kalimawendo and Yates for their goals. But my God, that Malmo side was struggling in the Championship. You Reds, Premier Elliott, we could have had my mum in goal tonight. Completely dominant display. Sangare, those around him look good. It's nice to see. Today's fact is the Polar Park in Norway. You're told not to wear wool clothes in case the wolves confuse you with a sheep. Binit Patel just got back from home in London just before 1 a.m, but only 1-4, sat behind the Malmo bench and had a perfect view of how brilliant Sangare is controlling the game. Easily my man in the match. And Tom Newton, absolutely non-contest. No disrespect to them, but it was a glorified training session in front of 28,000. Their fans were probably the best bunch of fans to ever grace the City Ground in recent times. Happy for Kalimawendo to bag tonight. Safe trip to home for the Malmo fans onto Sunday. I'm not sure if there's any point in doing any player performances, Lee, because it was honestly that it was just that. But I did want to dive more into the Murillo thing of playing left back. Do you know if we are at a point where Olaina might not be fit enough and we do maybe need to rotate? I don't know, or just like Savona or Williams might be struggling. Is that a future option now? Obviously, he probably can't be as adventurous as he was last night. It was like bleeding Frodo Baggins off an adventure in like the number 10 at left wing, striker, I think, at one point. I don't think he'd be able to do that quite. But I mean, him doing that also tells me that maybe Dyche has got a thing up or two off his sleeve in future, and maybe like his reputation of being a Brexit no-nonsense football manager is actually just all a load of rubbish.
I suppose he could fill in there. I don't like this idea that as a Premier League club that's qualified for Europe that we're going to put a player who's so good at centre half in a square peg in round hole situation and playing at left back on a regular basis. I think if it's filling in for 1 or 2 games, then fine. I think the fact that we've tried him there probably highlights where our priorities will be in January. I think another fullback, he's probably going to be a must. Zinchenko will probably go back. Do you not think
Kiyobano will come in just because he's come off the back of probably a full season, hasn't he, at Botafogo?
Yeah, he might do, I suppose. Yeah, he might do. Again, I think it all depends on what Dyche wants to do, I guess. I don't know. It's an option for him, isn't it? I think if we've got an option to play him and give him some minutes, then I think the 2 fullbacks at the minute are fine, aren't they? It's just like you say, if they get injured or struggling with fitness or something like that, or suspended, I suppose. But yeah, I still thought Murillo looked pretty awkward at left back. He played well, of course he did. He played really well, but he was under no pressure. For example, Brighton are probably going to play Minter on the right wing on Saturday. Would you fancy him up against him? Probably not. But at the same time, with how good he's been for Brighton this season, he might make one of our regular fullbacks look pretty ordinary. So that's not a slight on Murillo playing left back. So I just don't, like I say, I go back to my original point. I don't particularly like the idea of too many square pegs in round holes at this stage of our Premier League journey, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I'd just rather Murillo there than Morato if it was a needs must situation.
Oh yeah, if it's a toss up between those two, that's a no brainer. And I thought Morato was very good last night. Actually, I thought he's much. I don't understand where people have got this perception that Morato is not very good at centre back. To be honest, but for checking his shin pad, allowing Morgan Rogers to score against Villa last year, he's been largely good. But as we know, one mistake like that means that people have to go I knew he was rubbish anyway, even though he didn't concede a goal for about 3 months last season. But yeah, like I say, if it's a toss-up between those two, that's a completely different conversation. But if it's Murillo playing there for a prolonged period because someone's injured, I've got reservations, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get into Sunday because I think that's the more important kind of game and talking point, really. So yeah, Brighton, as Reece pointed out, going extremely well in the Premier League. Let me just get up the table. So they are, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? Yeah, Brighton are sixth at the moment, just behind Crystal Palace. Obviously, that's Crystal Palace fans will absolutely love that and love being above us because of all the what happened in the summer. They've scored a lot. There's been a lot of goals in Brighton games. They've scored 19, conceded 16. Danny Welbeck is like a man rebirthed. It seems at like the great age of 34 or 35, I think it is. I mean, he's scoring a lot of goals for them. What do you make of that game against Brighton? Because it's going to be very, very tough.
Yeah, they're in form, aren't they? They started playing well. They're a good side, though, anyway. I think when we played them last year and beat them 7-0, they're always a side that are capable of turning up and doing a number on teams. Their away form has been pretty ordinary this season. I think they've only won once away. But as we found out on Saturday, we'd not won away all season and went and won at Liverpool. So that's the Premier League this season. Every game's competitive. So yeah, it'd be a tough game. He's got them organised. Let's face it, they're not going to come this season and play a ridiculous 4-1-4-1 formation, stick Jack Hinchelwood in midfield on his own, are they?
No, I can't imagine so.
So it's going to be a completely different game. But yeah, it's one we should look forward to. We're in form. They won't relish coming to play us, will they? They'll see it as an opportunity to play us at a good time after a European game. But I think they'll look at our team last night and expect a completely different Forest when they turn up on Sunday.
Yeah, they've had a weird time away from home. I think they seem to be very good on at the Amex, but at home a little bit hit and miss. It seems. I mean, I think they've won one game away, and that was at Chelsea by the looks. Just having a quick flick through their Premier League results. So I think there's definitely maybe. I don't like to say this because I think it sometimes doesn't really matter too much, but it seems like they've got a bit of an Achilles heel on the road. So hopefully that plays into our hands, especially with how we've beaten them in recent times at our place. So, but I definitely can't imagine them playing 4-1-4-1 or whatever it was and leaving Jack Hinchelwood on his own, like you said. But I think it's while we're in this good run of form and now we're back at our best, it seems, in defending. I just think it's another game we can go out and go and attack and go and win and keep this running form going. Because if we can get this win and then obviously we've got Wolves in the midweek, then you're looking like you're challenging for Europe again. And we're having completely different conversations that we was having 2 months ago, where I was having to tell you, Lee, to cheer up. Sure.
Yeah, I know, but let's not be all reactionary on that because football is about reactions.
It is.
A Mansfield Town fan called me fickle because I went to Liverpool and was buzzing with one on Saturday. It was the whole screenshotting things that you said a while back, but that football fans are the most fickle people in the world. I've never denied that. When I see us lose 2-0 to Bournemouth and the new manager's not got a tune out of anything, after beating Porto, might I add, what am I expected to think when we've not won since bloody August? I mean, I've never made any football fans in general are fickle. You win and you're on cloud now, and you lose and the world's against you. You've only got to look at social media for that sort of stuff.
What do you call people like me who are just optimistic all the time? Am I a happy clapper?
No, because you have your moments where you're still quite negative about certain players or people yeah, you're not really happy. I admire your ability to be quite positive, and obviously it looks like under Dyche it's going to, serve you well. But yeah, you're right. If we can get another win, and obviously Wolves is a great fixture to have. Although, looking at my last man pick this week, Wolves are going to beat someone at some point, and I just hope it's not us on Wednesday night. So yeah, like you say, everything all of a sudden becomes I just think the quicker we can get pulled clear of that little clutch of teams at the bottom, the better.
Absolutely.
Because this league isn't fun when you're constantly looking over your shoulder. I'd settle for getting up to sort of 13th, 12th, 13th and thinking, right, okay, we're probably not going to get in Europe, but look, we're 10 points clear of relegation. So just a nice, straightforward season would do me with the start we've had.
I think just going back to the table, I think if if we say we got 4 points out the next 2, I think that would represent good return, whichever way you call it, whether we beat Brighton and drew at Wolves or beat Wolves and drew with Brighton. We almost get into that clutch of teams that actually are starting to chase like Conference League and all that sort of stuff, and it becomes a little bit more like, well, this could be, you could have it in both ways with Europe as well coming. So with a busy winter schedule, as we all know, although Boxing Day it's non-existent anymore, absolute farce.
Utter woke nonsense. That
it is utter woke nonsense. For Sunday's side, are you inclined to make any changes from that team that beat Liverpool at all, or would you stick with the same team as it's you don't fix what's not broken and all that sort of thing?
Good question. I think I'd like Hudson-Odoi to play. I think if Hudson-Odoi is fit, he plays for me. I don't think Hudson-Odoi is the sort of player that you get maximum out of him if he's coming off the bench. And that sounds harsh on one of the wingers you've got to take out from the Liverpool win, but he's a star player. And I know that Reece has said before that his numbers should be better than they are for the sort of player he is, and he's right. But I just thought, he was the sort of player. He looked really energetic last night. He looked really keen to make an impact and drive at the opposition. And that might be what we need. I think with how they're going to play against us on Sunday, we're going to need to turn things over pretty quickly and almost kind of play on the counter like we did last season. So yeah, that's the only change I think I'd consider making. And you'd probably have to say on that basis that it'd be Dominguez coming out, because obviously he started in the advanced position at Liverpool, didn't he? So it's difficult because I think taking Dominguez out, you miss his work rate, and I thought we pressed Liverpool quite well because of Dominguez. So, like I say, all of a sudden we've got lots of positive decisions to make rather than thinking, right, how can we not lose 3-0? Which is nice. It's a refreshing turn of events, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, as I think I would echo that. It's whether either Hutchinson or Hudson-Odoi starts. I mean, at right back, they're playing Max Vifer. For all I know is he's normally a central midfield player. So again, they're doing what we've been doing in terms of a winger. Dominguez playing out wide, where he's not a winger at all. Like Reece says, he's got no straight line pace. So there's definitely areas of Brighton's team to get at. Obviously, very, very good. Got a bit of Carlos Baleba is a fantastic central midfielder. Ruta makes things happen. Minter, obviously, like you say, is in good form. Welbeck, one of the top scorers in the Premier League this season. He's having a terrific season so far. But I just think like we've got a bit, I think in central midfield as well, I think like Ayari and Baleba, are they going to really, like, Baleba's a strong player, I think, but like, is he going to get the best of Elliot Anderson and Sangare? Same with Ayari. I'm not sure if them two start on Sunday. Personally, I think they're in terrific form, the two of them, and like we've always said, Sangare gets the best out of Anderson in terms of getting forward, and then hopefully Morgan Gibbs-White will be back for that game because he's in very, very good form as well. So it lends itself to be actually a really, really entertaining game of football, I think. I just think like we're in a false position compared to where we probably would like to be. Maybe not where we should be, but where we would like to be.
Yeah, I mean, Sangare and Anderson in midfields are non-negotiable for me. I think every time they've played together this season, Anderson's just looked like a completely different player. Yeah, I was saying to a couple of lads last night, actually, I think if you put Sangare in the Liverpool team on Saturday, they'd probably beat us. He was that good. And I think people are starting to come around to the idea that Sangare is actually there to do a certain job, and his job's not to take 5 players on and smash everything in the top corner. His job is to make people like Elliot Anderson more effective, and he's very, very good at that. So that area of the pitch is a complete non-negotiable for me. And I think from reading bits and pieces from behind the scenes in training and stuff like that, I think Dyche and his coaching staff are all in on Sangare. I think they're already trying to come up with, the AFCON situation, and I don't know, I sense there's a bit of angst behind the scenes that he's going to be heading off, to be honest. But that's what happens with the AFCON because they play at a stupid time. So, yeah, those two in midfield is nailed on for me.
It wouldn't be as worrying to me if Douglas Luiz could keep fit that Sangare was going, but I've not seen the evidence that Douglas Luiz is going to keep fit. So it's just like, it's going to be probably a battle between Yates and Dominguez, whether they rotate that role because there's going to be a lot of football to play in that period of time. I'd love to see Nico Dominguez get a run in actually his preferred position personally, because last season when he got that run with Anderson and even Yates in there as well, it was he was really good and really effective for us, and we saw what we could get out of him in terms of a presser, in terms of ball retention and actually defensive ability. So there's options, but like you say, we're going to lose a big player because Sangare is actually starting to show what we bought him for, thankfully, and it's just took that time for him to settle into the Premier League, I guess, and we're now seeing we're reaping the rewards of that patience, I guess, and thankfully he's got over everything, like his fitness issues, the malaria, everything else, obviously getting booed by our own fans at times, which I find baffling. But yeah, looking forward to the game. What's your prediction for Sunday, Lee? You're on mute.
Let's keep the positivity going, and I'll go for a win. I think there might be goals, I'm going to go for 3-2.
I was going to say 3-2. I'm going to say 2-1.
I went through a phase last season of predicting 3-2 every week, didn't I? But I don't think I've had one for ages, so I'm going to go for 3-2. I just see goals. I think it'll be a really open game, which is strange because it's not usually Dyche's. I can imagine it being Dyche's idea of hell, an open game. But, he has got a good record. I think I was reading as well, he's got a pretty good record against Brighton, hasn't he, Dyche?
And if I remember rightly, in the season where Everton had the points deduction, they went to the Amex and beat him 5-1, didn't they?
5-1, yeah, I think it was, yeah.
So I mean, if we can get a repeat of that, I'll be cartwheeling I'll be cartwheeling around Nottingham like Ian Woan did out the car park when they got the job. So I'm going to go for 2-1, I think, and I think Welbeck will probably score for them by the form he's on. So hopefully, possibly. Hopefully, maybe Igor Jesus finally gets a goal in the Premier League for us, and what have you. And we're singing and dancing by the end of time. But any other business, Lee? Anything else you want to promote?
No, don't think so. I better say it because he got a little bit antsy with us last time. Vesta Blinds, all your one-stop shop in Mansfield and Nottinghamshire for blinds and all that sort of stuff. He's on the screen if you're on YouTube. But for the audio listeners, we apologise greatly for not giving you a shout out last time. But yeah,
it's a new thing for us. This sponsor lark.
I mean, blinds apparently are blinds to me, but I mean, from what he tells me, there's all sorts of different ones, fancy ones. So yeah, Vesta Blinds, give them a search.
Vesta Blinds
for a quote.
VestaBlinds.com, and our other sponsor is Trentside Threads. I'm wearing my Ola Aina shirt. I do want I want to see that man back on the field at some point. Because we just need it. Use our site for 10% off. Obviously, look, Christmas is coming. There could be some nice Christmas gifts coming at TrentSideThreads.co.uk. Get your dad, your mum, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, grandma. Get them a nice shirt for Christmas. That's Forest related. So yeah, do check them out. Thank you very much for sponsoring the pod. But yeah, no, this is going to be it for this morning. I don't think there wasn't too much to cover, to be honest. Honestly, one of the easiest games of football I'll ever see. I'm really grateful that I got to see Forest play a game in Europe in a sense, even though it was at the City Ground. Gary Forza did a great display with the nod to Trevor Francis, obviously that goal. Great fun between the two sets of fans. I know Malmo fans were fighting with Sturridge before the game, which I hope no one was hurt or anything happened after that. I hope their drum got actually broken, in the first half. Lee. I think someone repaired it with duct tape or something. So yeah, I think
final point for me. I think what you've just said there is quite nice actually, because I think in the Premier League era, there's a lot of angst towards people that seem to get tickets, and that's what makes the atmosphere poor. It's people who perhaps aren't Forest fans per se, lots of influencers, that sort of stuff. But I think we forget that there is also a lot of people who, even though they're part of membership schemes, the Premier League tickets are hard to come by. And with so much football, it's also a financial thing as well. So I think this European campaign has been nice in that sense, that more fans are getting the chance to see us. And yeah, it's great being in this league. I mean, I said for a couple of years that it wasn't, and get me back in the Championship. But having watched long as possible. So yeah, that's just my final thoughts.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for everyone joining us. 128 people in here at the moment. If you could do drop us a like and a subscribe, it does go a extremely long way. It's all free. We have got a Patreon membership if you want to listen to this pod in future without the adverts, obviously apart from the ones that do sponsor the actual pod, but like the adverts that we get on Acast and all that, and no intro. So that's only £1 for a month. If you want to join us on Patreon, you can get that on our link tree. So until Sunday, I think we'll be doing one in the evening to review the Brighton game. The Wimbledon, it's not as many previews these days. It's just not getting enough eyes on them. So it's not. We'll pick and choose now for previews, unfortunately. But thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Come on, you Reds.